This brief video focuses on a section of the Moorabool River that has undergone significant changes through quarrying activities. The river flows from the Wombat State Forest east of Ballarat to the outskirts of Geelong, where it joins the Barwon River. Its waters then feed the Ramsar wetlands of Lake Connewarre before exiting into Bass Strait. It is regarded as Victoria's most flow-stressed river, carrying a long legacy of exploitation not only of its waters but also of its bed and banks. Its lower reach has been substantially deviated to facilitate limestone quarrying. It now needs urgent restoration so it can once again function properly as a river, supporting fish and other aquatic and riparian life as it did for previous millennia. Limestone has been quarried here for more than a century. As this early map illustrates, the river has twice been significantly diverted to allow for the extraction of further limestone, first in the 1930s and again in the 1980s. Parts are now in extreme disrepair, severely compromising the river's ecology and stream flow. Due to the particularly poor condition of the first diversion, along with it being sited over previous spoil ground, large volumes of water are being lost through the bed of the river here. A 2020 report, commissioned by the Corangamite Catchment Management Authority, shows the river can lose up to 20 megalitres per day at this site. The 1980s diversion is still in reasonable repair, although its structure, with steep concrete walls, strips the river of its connection to the riparian zone. Base flows, which once would have helped sustain river flows, are no longer available due to the significant cone depression caused by the adjacent quarry pit. This Google Earth flyover, taken in early 2019, shows the river upstream of the quarry in a relatively natural state. It can be seen to support a number of refuge pools, and being able to retain water remains connected through much of its length. The riparian zone extends right to the river and is sustained by it. Visitors speak of its natural beauty. Despite the flow-stressed state of the system, which is most keenly felt in this lower reach, there are still regular sightings of platypus, turtles and eels. The story changes dramatically, however, once we arrive at the start of the 1930s concrete diversion. The riverbed immediately dries out, and section after section of broken concrete constantly drains what meagre flows there are away from the Moorabool. Erosion of the underlying quarry spoil has resulted in large holes forming in the bed of the river. They can trap significant numbers of fish when flows cease, requiring intervention from quarry staff and CCMA personnel, who work quickly to rescue them before the rapidly seeping water is lost completely. This is the landscape for hundreds of metres of the Moorabool. It is a constant tourniquet, severing the river's connectivity for long periods and strangling access for the river's migratory species. Most of the water lost through this section finds its way into the quarry. It is mixed with other groundwater, raising its salinity considerably. In order to keep operating, the quarry regularly pumps this water back into the river at the end of the 1930 section. Volumes can exceed 3,500 megalitres per year. Because of its high salinity, the water was once pumped into Corio Bay. However, the millennial drought caused a rethink by the EPA after the Moorabool River almost completely dried out. This water is pumped directly into the 1980s diversion channel. The steep concrete sides and lack of riparian vegetation, including shade trees, means water temperatures can rise considerably, especially in summer. Mats of algae are often a feature at this section through these times. A number of habitat pools have been designed into the structure, but for much of its length the river is disconnected from the banks and removed from the flora and fauna it would normally support. The saving grace is that at least for now it has water, but unfortunately this won't be for long. The quarry is slated to cease operations within the next 5 years. At this stage the plan is for the pumps to be permanently turned off. Without the repair of the 1930 section, this section too will lose much of its flow, and the length of frequently bone-dry riverbed will effectively triple. Those keen on developing the surrounding land as part of the expansion of Geelong appear to be welcoming the transition of the quarry into a water feature. Some early plans even flagged having the Moorabool River feeding directly into it, to speed up its filling over the next couple of decades. It was contended that once this so-called lake was full, it would allow for a return of base flows, and therefore a healthier Moorabool River. This was unequivocally countered by a recent CCMA commissioned study into the hydrology of the site. It showed that without intervention, the Moorabool River will continue to lose water to the quarry in perpetuity, even when the quarry is at capacity. This simply can't be allowed to happen. We call on the state government, the City of Grey Geelong, quarry operators, developers and the EPA to agree to a management plan that puts the interest of the Moorabool River at the forefront of any future use of the site. Together with the community, they must ensure restoration of the integrity of the 1930s diversion is a central part of the rehabilitation of the site. Until then, pumping of water from the quarry into the river should continue and match the amount of water that's being lost to the depleted aquifer caused by past operations. No net water from the Moorabool River, the most flow-stressed in the state, should be used to fill the quarry. It literally has no more to give. This river has been bent and nearly broken because we've asked so much of it in the past. That sacrifice needs to be recognised, and our appreciation shown by now making it whole. It's time to look after its needs rather than asking it to once again look after ours. Thank you.